There was a time when Mikel Arteta was just Pep Guardiola's assistant manager in Man City. The quiet man on the Manchester City bench, learning the geometry of football from the greatest tactician of his generation. When he took over Arsenal in 2019 as the manager, many people said he was too young, too inexperienced, and even too emotional. They said he would never last as an Arsenal manager. But football has a strange way of rewriting stories. Here we are 6 years later, and in these years, Arteta didn't just silence his critics, he also humbled some of the most powerful managers in European football. Managers like Pep Guardiola, Carlo Ancelotti, and even Diego Simeone of Atletico Madrid. Let's talk about the day Arteta humbled Pep Guardiola. That's a day that will haunt every Man City fan for the rest of their lives. There's something poetic about a student facing his master, especially when the master is Pep Guardiola, the man who reinvented football, and the student is Mikel Arteta, the person who once sat beside him, learning the game's secrets like an apprentice studying under a philosopher. For years, Arsenal fans had lived under the shadow of Manchester City's dominance. They had not only outplayed the Gunners on the pitch, but had twice snatched the Premier League title from their grasp. Once in 2022, and again in 2023. Both times, Arsenal had led the pack for months, only to watch Pep Guardiola's relentless juggernaut surge past them in the final stretch. At Manchester City, Arteta absorbed everything: the structure, the patterns, the obsession with space and time. And when he left to take over at Arsenal in 2019, many said he was chasing a dream too big, too soon. But dreams, when backed by obsession, have a way of coming true. The day February 2nd, 2025 was the second fixture of Arsenal and Manchester City matchup. The first fixture had ended in a very dramatic 2-2 draw at the Etihad Stadium, with Arsenal getting a red card in the match, and even Erling Haaland telling Arteta to be humble. In the second fixture, the Emirates was alive and ready. Red flags waving, chants echoing into the cold London air. Arsenal versus Manchester City. Arteta versus Guardiola. The apprentice versus the master. Guardiola arrived calm, composed, the veteran of countless title races. His team were champions, and even though they were on a poor run of form and lacking major key players, they were battle-tested and ruthless. Arteta's Arsenal were brilliant, yes, but still viewed by some as pretenders. This was the night that would change that. From the first whistle, Arsenal were different. The press was sharp. The transitions were precise. Odegaard moved between lines like a conductor leading a symphony, dictating tempo, orchestrating chaos. Then it came. The breakthrough? A quick exchange between Kai Havertz and Odegaard at the edge of the box, a touch to his left foot, and a curling strike that kissed the net. 1-0. The Emirates exploded. But if you've watched Manchester City long enough, you know how this story usually goes. They get hit, they recover, they dominate, and sure enough, minutes later, Erling Haaland pounced. A defensive lapse, a ruthless finish. 1-1. For a moment, it felt like the story was repeating, the teacher reasserting control. But this Arsenal was not the Arsenal of the past. This was a new and improved Arsenal, fearless, relentless, and angry. Thomas Partey began to take over the midfield, dictating every rhythm. Miles Lewis-Skelly, just a teenager, played like a veteran, breaking lines, driving forward. The Emirates could sense it. City were being pushed back. Then came the turning point. A bad pass from Phil Foden in the midfield, and Partey stole the ball, and then, boom. Shot from just outside the box. 2-1. Arteta clenched his fist on the sideline. Guardiola stood motionless, watching the tide turn. Minutes later, it was 3. Lewis-Skelly, gliding through the half space, took a touch, shifted, and buried it low past Ederson. The Emirates roared. The Red Sea rose. Pep Guardiola's team, the side known for control, and we're losing it completely. Just a few minutes later, Kai Havertz added another goal to make it 4-1. The stadium erupted. Arteta turned to his bench and smiled, not the smile of arrogance, but of quiet vindication. In stoppage time, a final blow. In one of those moments that football gifts us, the future arrived. Ethan Nwaneri, 17 years old, came off the bench. A kid who had grown up watching Pep Guardiola's City dominate the world, now stepping onto the pitch to finish them. Boom, he scored. Arsenal 5, Manchester City 1. The final whistle blew, and for the first time in years, Pep Guardiola looked like a man out of answers. As the players embraced, the crowd chanted, "Be humble" to Man City players. This wasn't just a victory, it was a transfer of power. Pep had once taught Arteta to see football differently, to value the geometry, the control, the positioning. But Arteta had added his own brushstrokes: emotion, intensity, chaos. He'd taken Guardiola's perfection and infused it with fire. That night at the Emirates, the student didn't just defeat the master, he surpassed him. Arsenal were no longer chasing Manchester City. They were defining what the next generation of football would look like. As Guardiola disappeared down the tunnel, he glanced once toward the Arsenal bench, where Arteta stood, still, staring at the crowd. Two men who shared the same philosophy, but only one on that night ruled England. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel for football videos like this.